You already know what time it is, man. The young goat in the building. Make sure you tune in to True Hill Heat Podcast.
What's up, True Hill Heat? True Hill Heat.
What's up? True Hill Heat all hands
Hello. It is me, your True Hill Phenom, SP3, back once again with another pay-per-view review. This time, we're not live, unfortunately. We are pre-recorded, but we are here to discuss NXT No Mercy. Pound for pound, I would say one of WWE's best shows of 2023. So I am here to recap and discuss everything. Unfortunately, not here live with you, but you, of course, have the opportunity to give your thoughts. These are just going to be my thoughts on NXT No Mercy. I want to hear from all of y'all. Y'all can let me know in the comments down below what you liked from NXT No Mercy. What did you think about the show overall? And you know how we do with the pay-per-view reviews. You let me know if you gave the show a thumbs up, thumbs down, thumbs in the middle. Out of 10, what did you give the show? What was your match of the night, MVP and LVP? And where does this rank as far as all of the NXT shows for this year? What does it rank as far as the WWE shows for this year? I'm going to answer that and give you my thoughts on all of that at the end of this review. But you let me know in the comments down below what you thought. And of course, if you're watching on the live premiere, you can also do that in the live chat as well. I'll be with you in the live chat. So if you want to hear my thoughts, want to have a question for me, I'll interact with all of you there. But let's get into NXT No Mercy 2023. And boy, oh boy, I will say I was very surprised by how good this show went. This show gave you pretty much everything you would want from a WWE show, honestly, and from an NXT show. This felt more akin to an NXT takeover than a 2.0 premium live event, which is a compliment to this show 100%. So before we get into the main show, we had a pre-show matchup of Kalani Jordan going one-on-one with Blair Davenport. Blair Davenport's been on a tear, attacking any woman that she wants to on the NXT roster. This matchup here was a nice little opportunity and a showcase for Kalani Jordan, who's one of the newer stars for the NXT roster. She went and had a pretty good, decent showing here. The match overall, just fine. Went 6 minutes, 35 seconds. Like I said, a showcase for Jordan. Blair Davenport picking up the victory with the Falcon Arrow or something close to it. Did not look the prettiest on that Falcon Arrow, though. After the Kamigoye knee, which I always love to see from there. After the matchup, Gigi Dolan runs in to go after Davenport, getting some revenge after Davenport attacked Dolan on this past week's NXT. These two women will go one-on-one on this Tuesday's edition of NXT. We get an opening video package, which goes back to the old No Mercy video game. You see the cartridge going into the N64. It's basically a monorized version of the show to intro everything. I thought that this was a really cool. It was so cool because I'm a huge No Mercy fan. So this took me back to the days that I used to play No Mercy. I used to bring this video game to like my after school, to my school, play with all my friends. This was my game when I was like 11, 12 years old. When this game came out, this was the shit. It's one of the greatest wrestling video games of all time. So it's very cool how they monorized it, and it really just came off pretty amazing. You had Vic Joseph doing the diggity dog, which doesn't make any sense. I've heard somebody say, oh, you have Booker T right there. No, Booker T is not the person to use. Use the person who created the diggity dog. It was Road Dogg. Road Dogg works for the goddamn company, so use him for the diggity dog. But the character select stuff, chef's kiss. This was great. one of the best intros or opens that I've seen for a WWE show in recent memory. It's been a long time since I was that impressed for an intro to a WWE major event. But the in-ring action kicked off with Braun Breaker going one-on-one with Baron Corbin. Braun Breaker coming out with the nice little dog head costume, kind of like he was Sammy Guevara with the panda hat, and he just reformed it into a dog. But it looked good. It looked good. On the other hand, we got the big match entrance for Baron Corbin, who was the American Badass Baron Corbin, coming out to his new theme with a motorcycle circling the ring before Braun Breaker hits a big old running flip dive, and they start brawling all through the floor, even through the crowd. We get this one just really was a hard-hitting, high-impact hoss fight. These two guys just made it a very hard-hitting affair. We made it physical throughout. They started fighting to the outside by the commentary table, where Baron Corbin and Braun Breaker take a couple of big bumps on there. Baron Corbin putting Braun Breaker through the announce table with a big slam. Braun Breaker just gets up like he's the Undertaker, pops back up and hits a big spear to Baron Corbin on the outside. When he takes him back into the ring, he looks like he's going for another spear, but we have Mr. Stone, Robert Stone, trying to get some revenge for Von Wagner. He comes off the top rope with a damn crossbody. Braun Breaker catches him and then lifts him up, tosses him into security on the outside. But that's still a disqualification. He interfered in the matchup, and he tried to get physically involved with one of the members of the matchup. Apparently, that's not a DQ to this referee. And Braun Breaker turns around into the end of days. 1, 2, 3. Baron Corbin picking up the win. I thought this was as good as this matchup was going to be. I gave it 3.25 stars. Baron Corbin, much better performance here than he had at the last NXT Premium Live event with one of the worst matches of the year against Gable Stevenson. But this was a hard-hitting fight, which it should have been. Baron Corbin, Braun Breaker, they had to invest a crowd by kicking off the show with this one. I thought that was the smart idea because you have two heels. So if you made it anywhere else besides the opener, you're risking the fans not reacting at all. So I thought it was good placement on the crowd, and they gave the crowd what they wanted to see from these two guys. Next up, we see Carmelo Hayes and Trick Williams. They want to leave with their own titles tonight. They're talking backstage. And then we get into the NXT North American Championship up for grabs as Dominic Mysterio defends against Trick Williams. Dragon Lee, the special guest referee. Trick Williams with a huge reaction from this crowd who sang "Whoop That Trick" during his theme song like it was in Orlando here in Bakersfield, California. Dominic Mysterio, of course, with a negative reaction, the whole chorus of boos. This one was a little bit of the smoke and mirrors. They tried to, keep Dragon Lee involved. It was a bunch of arguments throughout the matchup between him and Dominic Mysterio. He would try to call it right down the middle throughout, but eventually he would get caught with a super kick by accident. We get a net breaker by Trick Williams, and he covers Dom, but there's no referee. Eventually, a referee comes down. Williams gets posted, but he avoids the frog splash from Dirty Dom. He sets him up for a knee. But Dominic has the North American Championship, but Trick Williams is able to land the knee, gets the pin. 1, 2, 3. Trick Williams is your new North American champion. Yes, I was as shocked as a lot of you might have been. 9 minutes, 40 seconds. Trick Williams becomes the North American champion. Once again, the North African American champion, because the litany of African American champions in the North American Championships history is rich, to say the least. Very, very, very rich. From Ricochet to Velveteen Dream to Keith Lee to Swerve Strickland to Carmelo Hayes to Wesley to Trick Williams. Congratulations to Trick Williams, who has become one of the more improved performers over in the developmental brand. It was a great celebration, great reaction from the crowd. The match itself, I gave it 3 stars. It wasn't the best match on the card. Might have been the worst match on the card, but they had enough smoke and mirrors. These are one of the matches that there was a lot of stuff going on, a lot of things to cover up. We had 2 referee bumps in this one, but I thought that Trick Williams held his own in this one. After the matchup later on, we go backstage and we see Trick Williams pulls up on Carmelo Hayes before his NXT Championship matchup, and we see the brothers embrace, the good friends embrace backstage, both champions, but how long would they both be champions for? We see backstage from this past Tuesday, Joe Gacy is very upset after losing to Trick Williams, and he tells Ava Rain that the schism is done, and now he has to find his own way. So, what does that mean for Ava Rain? Is Ava Rain going to go to her new family? He told her that she needs to find a new family. Will she go to her family, the bloodline? And that will be the way that gets us to The Rock? Hmm. That might be the way to go. That might be an interesting way to go. But next up, we had the NXT Tag Team Championships up for grabs. It was Tony D'Angelo and Stacks defending against Out the Mud, OTM, Bronconema, and Lucin Price versus the former NXT Tag Team Champions, the Creed Brothers, versus Los Laterios, Humberto Carrillo, and Angel Garza. I love the entrance for OTM with the aesthetics. They got the lowriders that they ride out to the ring. They got the whole Vice City type graphic for their name and stuff. It's really cool, but they're very green. They're just green, very athletic, big guys. This one breaks down very early as the champions are kind of taken on their back foot as D'Angelo comes in and he's immediately taken out. We get D'Angelo is taken out and Stacks is left on his own to fight. His knee basically gives out after after Angel Garza and Alberto Carrillo chop block him. We get him coming back into play just a couple of minutes when it looks like Stacks is all on his own and he has no hope to come back. D'Angelo comes back out to a huge pop, and that's when this matchup really turns into third gear. We get a lot of multiple sequences where multiple people are just coming in and out of the ring, hitting big moves. The highlight of this matchup, though, being this 4-way superplex spot, and they hit this perfectly. They did the whole 1-2-3, so they had the timing down, but this was one of the best time spots. Very fun action throughout. They kept a lot of action in this one. 12 minutes, 5 seconds. You got 8 guys involved, but I felt like everybody had their moments. Each team had their moments to shine and have the spotlight. In the end, Lucin Price was left alone with the champions who hit bada bing, bada boom, bada bing. 1, 2, 3. Tony D'Angelo and Stacks retain the NXT Tag Team Championships. I'm going to give this matchup 3.5 stars. I thought that this was a very fun 4-way matchup. Everyone involved, like I said, had the chance to shine. Tony D'Angelo and Stacks just starting their tag team championship run, so it was way too early to end it here. And this was a matchup that they kind of made themselves a 4-way matchup with 3 challengers ahead of them. So they kind of had to win to not look like dumb baby faces, because we get a lot of dumb babyface syndrome in WWE, AEW, New Japan, all over the wrestling world. So it was glad to not see that here. And they look like strong champions getting the victory despite Tony D'Angelo getting his knee injured early in the matchup. Next up, we had a vignette of someone watching the Cincinnati Bengals in WCW, and then he's watching various second generation and after watching all these clips of the second generation superstars, he turns off the TV and we just see his reflection through the TV screen. Yes, indeed. You see the familiar Bengals t-shirt. You see the familiar mullet hairstyle. Brian Pillman Jr. is heading to WWE and he's heading to NXT. I'm very much enjoying the slow burn with this. I hope we see more vignettes, giving people hints, giving people more anticipation for him. I think that Brian Pillman Jr. has a great chance to succeed here in WWE a lot more than he will in AEW. AEW, it prioritizes two things. You either have to have a great character that gets over with the audience in a big way, or you have to be a great wrestler, or both. If you're neither and you're still developing, you need time, you need the right presentation, and you need a focused, concentrated build and a way to present you and debut you on their platform and focus on you. And despite you may having some setbacks and some slow developing and progressing in your career, they need that time. And I think that NXT is the best place for Brian Pillman Jr. to get that time to go through the growing pains, to improve in the ring, come up with a character that works, and, basing it on his heritage, his background as Brian Pillman Jr., as the son of Flying Brian, the loose cannon Brian Pillman. This is something that WWE is known for with their second generation stars. And as you've seen in this video package, he's going to follow along in those footsteps. We get Carmelo Hayes. That's when we had Carmelo Hayes and Trick Williams backstage part. Then we get a recap of Butch winning the NXT Global Heritage Invitational, and it leads into the Heritage Cup Championship matchup. Butch challenging Noam Dar. Butch had Tyler Bate in his corner. We see the tweet showing how he asked Tyler Bate, one of his best friends and former rivals, to be in his corner in this matchup, as Noam Dar will, of course, be second by the members of Metaphor. This was a very good wrestling matchup. A lot of physicality in this one, technical wrestling skill of Butch up against the kind of the craftiness of Noam Dar. Noam Dar knows how to use the rules of the Heritage Cup to his advantage. Like at the end of the first round, when Butch has control of his arm and is cranking on his fingers, when the bell rings to end the first round, Noam Dar gets a Judas Effect elbow in very quickly. Round two is kind of a stalemate between the two guys for a large part of it, until Noam Dar is able to hit the Nova cord after Ora Mensa interferes with a kick to the head, and Noam Dar has the 1-0 lead in the matchup. That doesn't last too long, though. In round three, Butch is able to come back. He rallies back, hits a series of big moves. He hits another moonsault. He misses. Noam Dar misses the Nova Roller, and Butch is able to hit the bitter end for the 1-2-3 in the second round. The round ends right there, and we enter round four. Round four and round five is pretty much a stalemate between these two guys. The physicality picks up. We get a couple of close falls and a couple of hard-hitting moments. One of the most hard-hitting being Noam Dar hitting a sick brain buster on the apron in round five. It looks like Butch is very close to victory, although he runs out of time in round five. In round six, it once again looks like Butch is on the verge of a victory in this one when Gallus attacks Tyler Bate on the outside of the ring. Inside of the ring, the referee is distracted by Metaphor, so Joe Coffey comes in and hits Best for the Bells. Noam Dar covers 1, 2, 3 in round six, 2 minutes 34 seconds left on the clock. Noam Dar retains the Heritage Cup Championship. 18 minutes 51 seconds overall. The action was really good, but Noam Dar is basically WWE's answer to the House of Torture. It's a lot of shenanigans. It's a lot of interference. If you want something more akin to, like, historically, Noam Dar's whole act is Jeff Jarrett, Planet Jarrett in TNA from 2002 through 2005. It's basically that act. It takes 7 guys for him to retain the championship. I really would love to see Noam Dar just wrestle a match and not have so much interference in his matchup, but it is what it is. This still was a very good matchup. Like I said, I gave the match overall 3 3/4 stars. I was very close to giving this match 4 stars. I thought that the matchup at the my initial rating for the matchup was probably 4 stars, but the more I thought about that finish, the more I did not like it, and it just felt overbooked, over contrived. So that's why I went 3 3/4 stars. But both guys put in plenty of work. It was more of the booking and the layout of the finish and all the interference that kind of just took away from the matchup, honestly. We get a recap of the NXT Championship rivalry between Ilja Dragunov and Carmelo Hayes after Hayes retained the championship against Dragunov at the Great American Bash, and it was time for the rematch. Ilja Dragunov challenging Carmelo Hayes for the NXT Championship. We see the Carmelo Hayes with the big pomp and circumstance entrance with the jerseys coming down from the banner. Every man he has defended the NXT Championship against so far. 5 successful defenses, and this would be number 6 and his second one against Ilja Dragunov. And what we saw in the first matchup between these two men was a different kind of Carmelo Hayes matchup. Carmelo Hayes got into the ring with Ilja Dragunov, and he had an Ilja Dragunov type of matchup that is violent, that is physically intense, that is sometimes hard to watch at times, because these two men went out there and absolutely beat the ever living hell out of each other. When I talk about the chops, when I talk about the headbutts, the forearms, this was one of the most violent and physically draining and exhausting matches in WWE history. Probably the most physical and violent matchup ever seen before a live WWE crowd. I think the only match that might have been more physical was the Ilja Dragunov and Gunther matches from 2020 and 2021. You had Carmelo headbutt Ilja Dragunov hard way, busting him open, which just added to the drama and the intensity of this matchup. You had callbacks to the previous matchup, like when Ilja went for the coast to coast, and Carmelo went for the first 48, but Ilja was able to catch him. He catches him in midair, lifts him up into a power bomb. It was crazy. You had Ilja pick him up. He hits a death valley driver into the corner, then hits the coast to coast for a 2 count. He hits a H bomb, which only gets him a 2 count. He hits another H bomb from the middle rope, which only gets another kick out. Just each near fall, just creating this crowd and this atmosphere. This Bakersfield crowd delivered, and were so loud and vocal and totally engaged into each and every moment. This was so compelling to watch and gripping throughout. You had Ilja go for the torpedo Moscow, but he's cut off with a super kick. This gives Hayes a breather for a moment. They head to the apron. Hayes hits a cutter on him to the floor, the suplex into the cutter. They head back inside where he goes for the nothing but net, but he misses because Dragunov gets out of the way, knocks him out with a big old lariat in midair. Then he goes to the top rope, hits a super H bomb. 1, 2, 3, 21 minutes, 7 seconds. This one blew me away. I gave their matchup at the Great American Bash 4 3/4 stars. And initially, I gave this match 4 3/4 stars. No. This is only the third WWE matchup I gotta give 5 stars. The first NXT matchup I'm giving 5 stars to since Ilja Dragunov versus Gunther back at TakeOver 36 in 2021. He did it again. Nearly 2 years later, Ilja Dragunov just had one of the greatest matches in NXT history. You get the show of respect afterwards with Ilja getting hyped up, telling him, like, come on, you showed me something. Carmelo Hayes earned his respect. Carmelo Hayes has twice gone into the playground and had an Ilja Dragunov type of matchup, and he had 2 of the best matchups of his entire career. This was a perfect NXT Championship matchup. I would say the best NXT Championship matchup since Finn Balor had the championship. It's been that long. It's been that long since we had a match of this level. 5 stars, one of the best WWE matches of the year, and one of the best all-time NXT Championship matches in the title's history. Ilja Dragunov is next level. I said it on Twitter and I will say it here. There is only one person in WWE that has the hit level of Ilja Dragunov, and it is Gunther. Gunther and Ilja Dragunov, it is why that matchup is going to be rarefied air when Ilja Dragunov gets up to the main roster, because they are the two best workers in this entire company. These two guys have a different type of matchup, has a different type of violence to it and physicality that you don't see in WWE, that we're not used to seeing in WWE, that is more akin to what we see in AEW, in New Japan Pro Wrestling, in Pro Wrestling Noah. It's unreal. Ilja Dragunov is so special, and being in the WWE atmosphere just amplifies how special of a performer he is, because he's in this environment and in this ecosystem that is not really for him and is not really supposed to have the type of matches that Ilja Dragunov thrives at, but they're allowing him to do so. And that means that this NXT Championship reign, it might be one of the best of all time. This man has gone out and had, Wesley, one of Wesley's best matches on NXT television. Trick Williams' best match ever against Ilja Dragunov. Carmelo Hayes, his 2 best matches ever against Ilja Dragunov. And now he has the NXT Championship, which means every main event, we were going to see some of these guys' best matches ever. Ilja Dragunov is so special. I cannot wait for this NXT Championship reign. We get a video of the women's breakout tournament and the participants in it. I did see Lola Vice. I did see Ariana Grace. I do not have the full list of the participants in this because I was disappointed Jade Cargill wasn't one of them. I did see Jada Parker, which a lot of people thought was going to be Jade Cargill's name. So thumbs up that that's not her name. She's Jade Cargill. We got a recap of the rivalry between Tiffany Stratton and Becky Lynch, and then we head into our main event of the evening. Before that, Tegan Knox, we see front row for this matchup because she gets a shot at the NXT Championship on Monday Night Raw this week. We also saw earlier in the night Becky Lynch backstage collecting plunder to use in the main event against Tiffany Stratton. And then we go into the main event of the evening, Tiffany Stratton challenging Becky Lynch for the NXT Championship, NXT Women's Championship, excuse me. We get a video recapping and looking back at Becky Lynch's entire NXT career before she comes out with a shopping cart full of weapons, and we get a straight up plunder brawl that was more akin for the Attitude Era. And if you've already watched our AEW Wrestle Dream review, it felt like this weekend shows just took their main events and just plopped them in the Attitude Era and just put them in 2023, and it just boomed. It was great. It was great on both ends. Darby and Christian Cage was insane. This match was one of the best women's matches for WWE of 2023, and Tiffany Stratton's best match to date. They kept up the physicalness. They had the weapons. This was like the craziness and the franticness pace that you expect from an Extreme Rules matchup. And these two women just showed out. Tiffany Stratton just has a certain timing and poise to her. And when she's in this role, she just really kind of shows why she's going to be a star for this company and a world champion on the main roster on Raw and SmackDown for the next possibly 10 years, maybe. Becky Lynch is just one of a kind. She might be the greatest women's performer in WWE history. And her hit rate since coming back, since having a kid in 2021, it's ridiculous. And Tiffany Stratton is just living life and living off of this. And this matchup, more different weapons than I thought it would, and just really just kept it all over the place. They were brawled into the crowd. They brawled around ringside. They had steel chairs. They had kendo sticks. They had blood at one point. Tiffany Stratton gets hit so hard in the face that she starts bleeding off the side of her head. And once again, unintentional blood in back-to-back matches elevates the matchup. It makes it so much better. The only spot I didn't enjoy, and then I was just like, that was corny, and why did you do that, was Becky Lynch pulling out a bag of thumbtacks, or we thought it was thumbtacks, and instead it was Barbie dolls, and she slammed Tiffany Stratton on the Barbie doll. She was ODing on Tiffany's hip as well. A bunch of attacks and weapon hits with like kendo sticks and trash cans to Tiffany Stratton's hips. At one point, she starts throwing the Barbie dolls at Tiffany Stratton, who has to block it with a garbage lid. It was so stupid. So fucking stupid. We get a fire extinguisher at one point. Becky also sets up a table on the outside, which would come into play as well. After using the fire extinguisher, after hiding behind under the ring, Becky Lynch then pulls out a barbed wire baseball bat that goes around the ring post and exposes the fact that it's not really barbed wire, but the intensity keeps coming up. Tiffany Stratton with probably my favorite spot of the whole entire matchup, where she does like her cartwheel thing, where she usually hits the back elbow into the corner. She instead hits the back elbow and collides into Becky Lynch through the barricade with Lynch down. She then brings her over to the table, sets her up, goes to the top rope. It's a beautiful swanton bomb, but the table doesn't break. Nasty looking landing for both ladies on that one, especially Becky Lynch, who protected Tiffany. I respect her for that. Protected Tiffany as best as she can. Back into the ring, Tiffany hits another swanton for a 2 count. Becky rolls outside only to for Tiffany to miss a moonsault. We get a manhandle slam on the floor, which plants Stratton, gets her back into the ring only for a 2 count. Lynch is shocked by that one. Stratus does a regal roll onto the chairs, but then she misses the prettiest moonsault. Becky Lynch follows up with the manhandle slam onto the pile of chairs. 1, 2, 3, 20 minutes, 20 seconds. Becky Lynch retains the NXT Women's Championship in an absolute banger. These two women beat the absolute hell out of each other, and Tiffany Stratton is, man, her potential is through the roof. Becky Lynch retains the NXT Women's Championship in Tiffany Stratton's best match yet. In Becky Lynch's probably best match in a few years. I mean, I would go as far as to give this match 4.25 stars. Becky Lynch is on a roll right now. She had a hell of a false count anywhere matchup with Zoe Stark on Monday Night Raw. Followed that up the following weekend at Payback in a stellar steel cage matchup against Trish Stratus at Payback. And then this match here, the matchup previously with Tiffany Stratton, she's got Tegan Knox on Monday. Becky Lynch is on an all-time run, and this is why Jade Cargill should be the one to beat her, because she'll probably give Jade Cargill her best matchup ever as well. Becky Lynch needs to be in the conversation as the greatest women's performer of all time. She's the only women's performer that got her star power level to the level that she was the top star. She was the top star pretty much the end of 2018 into 2019. But man, I don't think she was at this level as far as in-ring work until she came back from after giving birth to her first child. She has been on a roll, been on a tear, and as of late, she has got herself into the conversation for the best women's wrestler of 2023 with her run in the last 2 months. She's on a roll right now. Becky Lynch deserves so much love. And Tiffany Stratton, man, we're going to see her main event or WrestleMania one day, because this woman is so poised and ready. 25 years old. The future is so high for Tiffany Stratton, for Roxanne Perez, for Sol Ruca, for Nikita Lyons. The crop of women in NXT is unreal right now, and it might be the best crop that we've ever seen in developmental as far as were developed in the Performance Center. The 4 horsewomen, some of them had independent talent. Becky Lynch had been wrestling on the independent scene for a while. Same with Mercedes Moné. So, levels to this. I think that the crop right now is the best since that 4 horsewomen crop back in 2014, 2013. But that was NXT No Mercy. As far as my ratings and what I told you at the beginning for this show, thumbs up, thumbs down, thumbs in the middle in 3, 2, 1, easy. Thumbs up show. 2 thumbs up for me. Overall, out of 10, I'm going to give this show 8.5 out of 10. Probably the highest I've gone for an NXT event all year. This was top to bottom, a very strong show. We had couple of matches that were so, like the Braun Breaker, Baron Corbin, the yeah, there was a couple of matches that were so early on this card. The Trick Williams, Dominic Mysterio. I had my issues with Noam Dar and Butch's finish, but the four-way tag was a lot of fun. Overall, Butch and Noam Dar was a really strong matchup, but this matchup will be remembered and is mostly graded on the double main event. Carmelo Hayes and Ilja Dragunov is arguably one of the greatest NXT championship matches ever. And the series of matches that we've seen from these two men at the Great American Bash and No Mercy is the best series of matches that we've seen for the NXT championship since the series of matches between Adam Cole and Johnny Gargano, which is probably the highest rated from Dave Meltzer and the Wrestling Observer newsletter matches in WWE history between two men. Ilja Dragunov and Carmelo Hayes are on that level. Somehow, some way, they were able to top what they did at the Great American Bash. Like I said before, 5-star matchup, one of the best WWE matchups of 2023, right in the conversation with Gunther versus Sheamus versus Drew McIntyre from WrestleMania, right in the conversation with Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens versus Jimmy and Jey Uso from WrestleMania, Charlotte Flair versus Rhea Ripley from WrestleMania. WrestleMania had a lot of match of the year candidates. Sami Zayn versus Roman Reigns. Like, man, this has been a hell of a year for WWE, but Ilja Dragunov and Carmelo Hayes from No Mercy, right up there, top 3 WWE match of 2023. And Becky Lynch and Tiffany Stratton, one of the best women's matches of 2023 for WWE, right up there with Io Sky versus Bianca Belair, Charlotte Flair versus Rhea Ripley from WrestleMania. Becky Lynch has been on a tear and once again delivered in the main event spot at NXT No Mercy. So, match of the night, but it's between those two matches. I'm going to give the honor to Carmelo Hayes and Ilja Dragunov. Very rare I give a WWE matchup 5 stars. I don't think they allow those guys to get to that level, to have that special type of matchup that hits that perfectness that I expect from a 5-star matchup. They hit that shit here. They hit that shit hard here. MVP for the show, though, I'm going to give a co-MVP to the women in the main event, Becky Lynch and Tiffany Stratton. They both deserve love. Tiffany Stratton for stepping into the moment and having her coming out party. In a similar way to Yota Tsuji had his coming out party over at New Japan Destruction in Kobe against Will Ospreay. Tiffany Stratton had her coming out party against Becky Lynch in the main event of NXT No Mercy. So I give her the honor and Becky Lynch the honors for MVP. LVP for the show. I mean, I got to give it to Braun Breaker. Braun Breaker, you lost to Baron Corbin. You've been losing a lot lately, and especially on these premium live events. He lost that Santa Liver to Carmelo, lost that Battleground to Carmelo, and then you lose here to Baron Corbin. Not the best stretch for Braun Breaker. I know a lot of us are just wondering, when the hell is Braun Breaker going to get called the hell up? Because if you're using him to job to Baron Corbin, you don't have some good use for him in NXT. You might as well call him up and let him get at least the raise of being on the damn main roster. What the hell are we doing anymore? Jesus. So, Braun Breaker, you got to get LVP. And I'll give an honorable mention love for MVP to Trick Williams. Trick Williams has improved so much, wins the NXT North American Championship, and now he has a title, and Carmelo Hayes doesn't. Also worth mentioning, after Becky Lynch picked up the victory in the main event, Carmelo and Trick had a moment backstage to end the show where Trick Williams came in and consoled Carmelo Hayes after his loss. Carmelo was all chopped up in the chest, and he told them that you're still the man. Carmelo made a long glare at the NXT North American Championship, though. So are they teasing that to be the next North American rivalry? Seems like Trick and Mello are the main story going on NXT moving forward, and I'm here for it. But we're going to talk more about NXT No Mercy on this Saturday's True Hill Heat Flagship podcast, True Hill Heat 246. So join us live for that. But like I said before at the top of the show, I want to hear from you. These were just my opinions, not the opinions. I want to hear from all of you. I have like an open dialogue. Love to interact with all of you. So let me know in the comments down below your match of the night, MVP, LVP, thumbs up, thumbs down, thumbs in the middle for the show overall. And out of 10, what did you give NXT No Mercy? And as far as NXT pay-per-views for the year, I would say No Mercy has been the best. NXT No Mercy, the best show so far. I would say second would probably be Stand and Deliver. Third, Vengeance Day. Fourth, Battleground. Was there one before that? I believe there was one before that, but I don't remember, folks. That's what happens. Smoking weed and having kids. But yes, that is all from me. That's how I rank it. As far as WWE shows, I think just maybe WrestleMania Night 1 and Backlash would be the only shows I would put ahead of NXT No Mercy off the top of my head. Maybe Money in the Bank as well. Money in the Bank was really good. Night of Champions was really good. Elimination Chamber was really good. It's been an amazing year as far as wrestling shows. So I'll save my answer as far as where I think No Mercy ranks for the flagship podcast, Saturday, 11:05 a.m. Eastern Time. Join us for that. Want to thank everyone who watched this video. Remember to drop the thumbs up on this video. Share this video with all your wrestling fans, friends, and family on all your favorite social media platforms. If you're new to the True Hill Heat YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button, hit the bell to stay notified for all the great content here. And of course, take a look at all the great content we got on here right now, like the Flagship podcast from last Saturday, True Hill Heat 245 with myself, Miss Chrissy Love, Top Guy JJ, special guest Baby Huey from In the Click podcast, as well as Scott E. Wrestling. Scott Edwards from Fightful joined us, talked about everything in the week of wrestling. Jade Cargill officially joining WWE. If we thought Edge was going to show up at Wrestle Dream, spoiler alert, we did, and we were right. So that means you should also check out our AEW Wrestle Dream review with me and Jade News, breaking down all the action from Seattle, Washington, including Edge, aka the Rated R superstar Adam Copeland, becoming All Elite, Christian Cage and Darby Allin in an insane TNT Championship 2 out of 3 falls main event, and Bryan Danielson and Zack Sabre Jr. in possibly the greatest technical wrestling match of all time. We talked all about it and broke it down. Check out the Wrestle Dream review and check out our latest True Heels BTR from StarCast with Willow Nightingale talking about her time in Japan for New Japan Pro Wrestling this year. There's so much to enjoy on the True Hill Heat YouTube channel. We are less than 400 subscribers from 10,000, our goal for 2023. So help us out. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Hit that subscribe button and join what we're doing here, where we give you plenty of daily content, whether live or pre-recorded like this one. But until next time, y'all, it is me, your True Hill Phenom SP3. This has been our NXT No Mercy review. We are signing off until next time.